Chana masala, chickpeas and a spicy gravy. One of my favorite meatless dishes of all time. It's cheap, it's nutritious, it's a great thing for meal prep, totally the kind of thing that I would freeze in ice cube trays so that I can easily thaw out the exact quantity I want for a weeknight dinner. I'm sure there's a million ways to make this dish, but my concept of it obviously is shaped by my life eating in North Indian-style restaurants in the United States, and I think I got pretty close to that taste with the more complicated version I'm going to show you later. But first, here's got to be the easiest possible way to make this. Nothing but pantry ingredients, all of which are available in standard Western supermarkets. We will do no chopping. Get a little saucepan and put in some oil. Ghee would be great if you have it, but I'm just using olive oil, and I'll put in a heaped tablespoon of any store-bought garam masala. Any pre-ground, pre-mixed Indian spice blend that you've got is fine, and I will just fry that in the oil until I can really smell it. Another great pantry staple right here, these little teeny cans of diced chilies, tons of flavor. In my research, I noticed that 2 parts cooked chickpeas to 1 part tomatoes is a pretty common ratio. Use whatever canned tomato product you like. I really like this brand here in the States, and they make a different one that is fire roasted. This is a pantry champion right here. Tons of deep flavors straight out of the can. And you could totally chop up a bunch of onion and garlic and ginger yourself, or you could simply take them in powdered form. A big teaspoon each of garlic and onion powder, and yes, ground ginger. This is a common thing in Western pantries where it's used to make gingerbread persons at Christmas time. But seriously, if you give it time to rehydrate, it tastes surprisingly like fresh ginger in a sauce or stew. I'll drain out 2 cans of chickpeas. The liquid is just too starchy, too gluey, but you could put in some of it if you wanted. In those go, along with enough water to get everything covered. Might as well clean out the tomato can in the process. Canned products like these are often already pretty salty, so I wouldn't put in any salt just yet. Just bring that to a simmer, stir it every now and then, and in 20 or 30 minutes, you'll see the liquid has thickened up nicely. That's the starch from the chickpeas gelatinizing. Have a taste and make sure to actually taste a chickpea. If you only taste the gravy, you'll probably end up under-seasoning this because the chickpeas are bland. Some salt in there, and a lot of people put in lemon juice to brighten this at the end. I'll keep this pure pantry and just use some neutral vinegar. That's rice vinegar. And yeah, I said no chopping, but if you have some fresh coriander leaves, also known as cilantro in my hemisphere, those are nice to stir in at the last second before you pour this over rice. Now, is that the best chana masala ever? No, but it's pretty good, and it was stupid easy and cheap. But let's try it the hard way now, or a harder way. In the States, people like me refer to any chickpea masala as chana masala, but chana is a specific kind of chickpea, and this is them. They're kind of small, and I think they have much nicer texture. If you buy them dry, a cup and a half will equal what you would get from 2 of those 14-ounce cans. By weight, it's 500 grams dry. You don't have to pre-soak them, but it helps them cook faster and more evenly. Just cover them by a couple of inches. I did this first thing in the morning, and here they are in the afternoon, plumped up quite a bit. And while those are soaking, you can make your own masala, a fresh spice mixture. And this will require ingredients from my local Indo-Pak grocery, which reminds me I need to scan my receipt into Fetch Rewards, the sponsor of this video. Fetch is this app you just download, and whenever you go shopping, you lay out your receipt and you scan it with your phone. It doesn't have to be from a mainstream supermarket. This is a mom-and-pop Indian grocery. That took 2 pictures to scan, but the app stitched them together for me, and then you hit submit, and then you get points back. Coupon points you can use to save money on like almost anything you could think of. Just browse the rewards section. I could get a discount on Hulu, or some gear at Best Buy, or some takeout food, or anything from Amazon. If you do most of your shopping online, it's even easier to scan your receipts. I just hit this E button, and it scans my email for eligible e-receipts, and I get coupon points back. It's as easy as that. You can get started doing this yourself with 2,000 points from me if you sign up through my link in the description and enter my code RAGUSIO when you scan your first receipt. That's all down in the description. Thank you, Fetch. Okay, into a dry pan, I will put a teaspoon of cumin seeds, half a teaspoon of coriander seeds, half a teaspoon of black peppercorns, half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, a black cardamom pod, a tiny scrap of a cinnamon stick, and half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. I will turn my heat on medium and toast these until I can smell them. You do not have to make your own masala, but it does taste better. It gives you creative control. I have no idea if any of this is traditional. I just play with different Indian spices whenever I do this. And if you buy whole spices, they last forever in your pantry. So it doesn't matter that I only make Indian food like once a month. They're going to last. Once these have cooled, I will load them into the coffee grinder that I use for spices, and I will pulse that until smooth. There. That's a heaped tablespoon of fresh masala. Okay, now's a good time to get our chana cooking. You could discard the soaking water. There's some research that says that maybe a quarter of the indigestible starches that give you gas are in the water. But lately I've been cooking my beans in the soak water. I'll just top it off with a little more. There's good nutrition in there and probably some flavor and texture. If I take 2 pills of an alpha-galactosidase supplement with dinner, I'm fine. A lot of Indian cooks put in some baking soda, sodium bicarb. That makes them cook like twice as fast, but I also think it makes the texture a little slimy for my taste, and apparently it destroys a lot of the vitamin B. I'll just put in some salt, probably a teaspoon for this much. Salt accelerates cooking too, just not as much, and it seasons the inside. I don't cover the pan. I prefer to have it open so I can see what's happening to make sure the water level doesn't drop too low, in which case they'd stick to the bottom and burn. A lot of Indian cooks would use a pressure cooker. You could totally do that, but these are only going to take like half an hour in there. I like to finish cooking them in the sauce that we're going to make while those boil. Okay, an onion. Lots of Indian recipes say 3 onions. I think their onions are way smaller than mine. Like 3 big fresh tomatoes. You could totally just use one of those 14-ounce cans instead. A couple of chilies. These are serranos, but use whatever kind you like. You could use the canned ones if you wanted. A few big garlic cloves and a real big thumb of ginger. You want to cheat and use a prepared ginger garlic paste from the Indian grocery? Go for it. I'm going to puree this sauce, which means that I can do some particularly unschooled chopping, even for me. Just clank it up into chunks. You could scrape the ribs out of your chilies if you want to limit the heat, or don't. Peel and chop that garlic, peel this ginger. This next part goes so much faster if you use your widest frying pan instead of a narrow, tall pot. You'll see why. You could use some oil again, but I got a jar of ghee from the Indo pack. The rich flavor of that really shines through in this dish. In goes my fresh masala on medium heat. Oh, and also some turmeric. Without that, the color can be kind of drab. Fry that until you really smell it, and then it's nice to give the garlic and ginger a head start just to get a little color on it. But basically, as soon as I'm scared things are going to burn, in goes all the other veg. I want to emphasize that even though I'm calling this the hard version of chana masala, I'm still showing you a significantly simplified and streamlined recipe that I have synthesized from the various ones I've researched. Indian food is freaking complicated. A lot of people would fry these vegetables kind of one at a time. I think you can get away with doing it all at once, though, if you stir it constantly and get some color on them after you've evaporated off most of the water. And that will happen way faster in a giant frying pan with tons of surface area. Alrighty, things are browning to the point where, my fond is going to burn. In with a little water! And just enough water to clean out the inside of that pan and not leave any goodness behind as I dump this into the food processor. You could use any kind of blender, just get it as smooth as possible. I think in a lot of restaurants they would push that through a fine mesh strainer to get out all the various bits of cellulose. You could do that if you want your gravy silky smooth. I'm not going to bother. Fiber is good. Hey, I think my chana are ready. You can just taste them to assess. I think you want them to be just tender before they go into the sauce. I've given my big pan a cursory wash and in with some more ghee and some more spices. This time the whole spices that I don't want to send through the blender. Those are green cardamom pods, insanely delicious things, and some bay leaves if you have them. Maybe they'll actually do something. I doubt it. When I can smell the cardamom, I'm going to fry a big squeeze of tomato paste. You don't have to use this, but it adds some strength of flavor and nice red color, and that is going to burn. That is going to burn. God, that's a close one. Once that is all stirred together, I can put in my chana, and since I was conservative about the quantity of water I boiled them in, I now don't have to worry about lifting them out of that water. I'm going to want at least this much water in the finished dish, so everything goes in. I'm going to let these simmer in there for at least 15 minutes, again to let that starch from the chickpeas gelatinize in the sauce. For finishing flavors, again, lemon juice would be great to brighten it up, but check this out, amchur. These are dried mango slices. You can buy them powdered, but again, I prefer to buy whole Indian spices so they last longer for me. Just get that as fine as possible. This is going to be my finishing acid. It is super tart stuff, but it's also got all these funky aromatic notes. It's my new favorite thing. It just needs a couple of minutes to rehydrate in there. Give that a taste. I'm going to do what I know the restaurants do and put in a big pinch of sugar, no shame, and some more salt. And I can already tell that as this cools, I'm going to need to water it down. Like anything thickened with starch, this will thicken a lot as it cools to eating temperature. Don't ask me why I transferred that to a different pot. Long story, but yeah, it needed a fair bit more water and of course some handfuls of fresh cilantro right at the end. Oh, and you want to know how I made my rice? I know this method has become a bit of an internet controversy of late, but honestly, try boiling basmati rice as if it were pasta. Big pot of boiling water, heavily salted, just dump the rice in, no need to rinse it first, the starch coat will wash off in there. After 15 minutes tops, it'll be done. You just fish some out with a fork and have a taste. Dump it into a strainer, drain it, let it steam off for a minute, and if you like fluffy, separate rice grains, this method is simply foolproof. Now, is starting from scratch with dried chana really worth it? Holy crap, I was not ready for what a big difference this makes. The texture of those is just outstanding. They're like caviar. The flavor of that sauce is super rich and sophisticated. I love those whole green cardamom pods floating around in there. I just eat them. Are you supposed to eat them? I always have. Don't eat the bay leaves, though. They can poke your insides. Anyway, there you go. A simple version and a simplified but still kind of complicated version. Combine ideas from both. It's just chickpeas and a spicy tomato sauce. Do it however you want. It's great.